Hey guys, what do these three situations have in common? Have a guess. First one is you deciding to thoroughly clean your kitchen instead of working on that side hustle you might have been talking about for ages. Or you deciding to spend most of your money each month on experiences instead of really actively saving for your retirement. Or even you choosing to read a book instead of working on that blog post that you've been telling yourself you needed to publish ages ago. Have you guessed it? They are all different ways that you and I actually procrastinate every single day. Yep, I said it. We all procrastinate. I procrastinate. And the thing is, those examples that I read out to you don't necessarily point to laziness when it comes to procrastination. Because cleaning your kitchen, reading a book, or actively shopping online don't actually demonstrate laziness. What it says to us is that procrastination is actually about something else entirely. And what are the practical implications of us choosing deliberately to procrastinate in our daily lives? What impact does it even have, dare I say, on our financial lives? Today I want to speak to you about why you keep procrastinating and how it might be keeping you poorer. I'm so interested in this topic personally because it affects me too. I've been spending the last few days actually just researching it just to understand it a fair bit more. So today we're just going to unpack it to what I found out to be the root cause for why we procrastinate and how it affects our lives, and more specifically what we can begin to do to make this better work for us. If you're really enjoying today's video, hey, I'd love for you to please hit the like button, show some love for the work that goes into our videos, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well so that you can get notified as soon as we publish our videos every week. All right, so let's dive in now. Now, I've been doing some research on this, like I mentioned earlier, and I found a New York Times article published fairly recently, which described procrastination as being derived from a Latin verb, procrastinate, which means to put off until tomorrow. But what this article says is that it's actually more than just voluntarily delaying. He then goes on and says that procrastination is also derived from an ancient Greek word, and you forgive me for pronouncing this way, called akrasia, which means doing something against our better judgment. In fact, experts in this area of procrastination refer to procrastination as a form of self-harm. That's right. Probably thinking, what the? So a guy called Dr. Piers Steele, who's a professor of motivational psychology at the University of Calgary, actually refers to procrastination as a form of self-harm, and goes on to say that this is why we feel so rotten whenever we procrastinate, because we know we're not only avoiding a task in question, but we also know that by avoiding it, it's a bad idea, but guess what? We probably still go ahead and avoid it anyway. So in that sense, procrastination is actually an irrational act, because we're in effect doing things that we know are not good for us, and we proceed anyway and do it, even with the negative consequences. Now here's the bit that really stood out to me. A professor from the University of Sheffield, a Dr. Fushia Sirius, who's a professor of psychology, said this, and quote, "People engage in this irrational cycle of chronic procrastination because of an inability to manage," and this is the key word, "negative moods around a task." Now, as soon as I read that, I thought, hang on a sec. So what this is saying to us is that procrastination is not about time management. It's not about productivity. Procrastination at the core is really about our inability to manage the negative moods around the tasks that we are running away from engaging with. Now, here are some negative moods, and tell me if these sound familiar to you. First one, self-doubt. You might be asking yourself, what if I can't do it? Second one, boredom. You might be saying, I just can't be bothered to do it. Third one, insecurity. I don't think I have the confidence to do it. Sounding familiar? Number 4, frustration. I am fed up of doing it. These might be things you might be saying to yourself at the core without actually verbalizing them as reasons for why you are procrastinating. Number 5, resentment. I don't want to do it anymore. There is so many of these negative emotions that truly underlie the core reasons for why we actually procrastinate. And the consequences essentially of those negative emotions are that they have a knock-on effect on our personal lives financially as well. Now, speaking of the impact on our financial lives, I was looking at this because I was reading a book recently, and you probably have read this book yourself, this book called The Richest Man in Babylon. I was reading this and rereading this book again because so many things in this book resonate and apply to us today. And I was reading this, there's a chapter in this book called Meet the Goddess of Good Luck. And I was reading this chapter, and it's very interesting the key points that are made in this book about procrastination. In this chapter, a number of stories are told to contrast between those who have good luck in their lives and those who do not have good luck in their lives. Typically, when you think about people who are considered to have good luck or who are considered lucky in some way, you always associate that luck with some form of success. But whenever you think about people, on the other hand, who don't have luck or who are considered unlucky in some ways, you never really relate that lack of good luck in their lives to any form of success. So you could almost argue that people who are said to be lucky or who have good luck in their lives are better off financially. They tend to be people who are more successful. But this book really takes it further and makes it super specific. Let me read you a segment from it. The book says that good luck follows opportunity in that order, which is very interesting when you think about it. Good luck follows opportunity. Now, what on earth does that have to do with procrastination? Let me read on. It says, good luck can be enticed by accepting opportunity. And remember, this book was written back in 1926, so the language might be a bit strange to you. And it says, those who are eager to grasp opportunities for their betterment do attract interest of the good goddess. This is the good goddess of good luck. She's ever anxious to please those who please her. Then it says, men of action please her the most. Men or women, whatever, right? Then it says, action will lead thee forward to the successes thou dost desire. Now, let me just unpack that, because some of you might not be used to that kind of language, right? Let me just unpack in layman's terms our inability to manage our negative emotions around tasks or various things that happen in our lives leads to us procrastinating. So cause and effect, okay? That's the first stage. Procrastination then leads to a lack of action in our lives on the right things. When we procrastinate, we don't choose to do certain things in our lives. And this is where this book comes in, The Richest Man in Babylon, because what it's really saying is that the lack of action in our lives, driven, of course, by procrastination, then leads to a lack of seizing opportunity when it arises. And of course, we know that opportunity comes, but opportunity does not hang about, okay? It shows up for those people who are ready, and then it disappears. And then the next step is that the lack of seizing opportunity leads to a lack of good luck in our lives. Essentially, the lack of wealth creation opportunities or things that essentially enhance our lives financially. So you can see how that's connected. In order for us to change, we have to do something better. So idea number 1 is what was referred to in the article as the bigger, better offer, essentially. We have to present our brains with something better than the reward of procrastination. Now, this idea was actually put forward by a neuroscientist known as Dr. Judson Brewer, who's a director of research and innovation at Brown University's Mindfulness Center. This particular individual proposed this idea of the bigger, better offer for our brains. Essentially, what they're saying there is that in the case of procrastination, and I'm going to read it here, we have to find a better reward than avoidance. One that can relieve our challenging feelings in the present moment without causing harm to our future selves. Now, in order to find a better reward than procrastination by itself, there's obviously an infinite number that we could give our brain in some ways. So what this particular doctor suggested was that we should actually look internally, okay? And a good suggestion that they made was one of focusing on self-kindness. Now, this might sound a bit strange, but actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. So what they're saying essentially is that if you are a habitual procrastinator, rather than constantly beating yourself up about it, how about showing yourself some self-compassion? What they actually found was that people who show themselves greater self-compassion when it comes to procrastination actually find that they have better outcomes when it comes to things like productivity, for example. So a bigger, better offer in this example could be that you showed yourself a bit more self-forgiveness or self-compassion when it comes to this subject, because then by not punishing yourself for past acts of procrastination, you have much more of a chance to look ahead and move yourself forward. The next practical thing is to consider the next action. So typical advice that we might hear ordinarily when you have a really huge task is someone might say to you, how about breaking that task into smaller, manageable chunks? This particular suggestion here about the next action is essentially saying to you, how about just considering the next thing only? Because what this does is that it just removes the overwhelm from the big task you've got ahead of you or some big thing that you need to consider. It just removes that huge overwhelm and just focuses your mind on that next thing you need to do. The next action could just be that you need to read an email, or the next action could be that you need to set up a standing order for your monthly investing. The next action could be that you just need to open an investment ISA, for example. But you're seeing where this is going. By focusing on just the next action, you're far more likely to take a step forward into doing the things you want to do rather than stepping away from them and resenting them and choosing to procrastinate instead. And the third practical thing is to make the temptations less convenient, okay? So we have so many things that tempt us and keep us procrastinating and not doing the things we know we should really be doing. So for example, if you are someone who habitually goes on Instagram, and we're all guilty of this, going on Instagram maybe every 15 minutes and you find that to be the thing you go to as a reward to get away from something else, you could try and make that temptation less convenient. For example, I have a friend who said to me, and I thought it was a bit ridiculous, but what she actually does is she every single day deletes the Instagram app and re-downloads it later on in the day when she gives herself the break to actually go on Instagram. So she's made it less convenient. Rather than just picking the phone up and clicking and browsing, she would have to actually go to the App Store or to the Play Store and actually download the Instagram app in order to use it. So by making it less convenient, she's actually created friction between herself and her desire to procrastinate. Tied to this point around making those temptations less convenient, we should also, on the other end, make the things that we actually want to do far more convenient for us. So here you're dialing down on the temptations, the things that help you and make it easy for you to procrastinate, but actually dialing up and making it super easy to access the things that you truly want to do, but for which you were running away from all along. So for example, if you've been saying to yourself, hey, the weather's really nice, I'd love to go for that run, I've been talking about it for weeks, how about making it a lot easier for yourself? Taking out your running shoes, putting your running shoes either by your bedside or by your front door or by your bedroom door, wherever. So long as it's made a lot more convenient, you are far more likely to take up that particular task rather than seek that temptation of doing something else as your way of procrastinating instead. In conclusion, procrastination is stopping us living our best life, guys. Seriously, it's actually stopping us doing the things that we truly want to do with our lives. What we really need to do is take stock of what core emotions really underlie, what core negative emotions underlie the procrastination that we experience in our lives every day. And the more we do that, the more we give ourselves the best chances of not only living our best lives, but also cultivating better financial habits and actually moving ourselves from our current situation to a much better place financially in our lives. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video on how procrastination is really affecting our lives and the various steps we can begin to take to start to change that current situation. If you really enjoyed this video, hey, hit the like, hit the subscribe and please share this video with one other person who is also a habitual procrastinator like we are. Please share it with them, and I hope this video also helps them move forward in their own personal lives as well. Thanks so much for watching today's video, guys, and as ever, in all things, be thankful and seek joy. Take care and bye for now.